Most men don't suffer loudly. They don't sit people down and explain what's wrong. They don't complain. They don't ask for emotional reassurance. They get quieter. And that quiet is usually misunderstood. It's mistaken for strength or emotional control or indifference. But silence is rarely empty. Most of the time, it's full of thoughts that never felt safe to say out loud. This video isn't about blaming anyone. And it isn't about saying one side is right and the other is wrong. It's about understanding why so many men suffer silently in modern relationships, and why that silence is almost never accidental.
Silence doesn't start all at once. It starts small. A feeling that doesn't land the right way when it's expressed. An explanation that gets misunderstood. An explanation that gets misunderstood. A moment of vulnerability that feels awkward or dismissed. After a few of those moments, something changes. Not anger, not resentment. Caution. Men begin to choose their words carefully. Then they choose fewer words. Then eventually, no words at all. Not because they don't care, but because they've learned that explaining how they feel doesn't always lead to understanding. So they adapt. They stay present. They stay responsible. They stay reliable. They just stop opening up.
Men don't stop talking because they stop caring. They stop talking because talking starts to feel pointless. They explain once. They explain twice. They notice the reaction doesn't change. So they internalize. They think more than they speak. They process alone. They carry things quietly. Silence becomes a form of self-protection. Not healthy protection, but familiar protection. It avoids arguments. It avoids misunderstanding. It avoids the feeling of being emotionally exposed without being emotionally received. And over time, silence becomes normal.
Here's where things start to break down, because male silence is often interpreted very differently than it's intended. It's seen as distance, coldness, loss of interest. But internally, it's often emotional overload. Men don't always know how to translate what they feel into words that will be heard correctly. So silence fills the gap. And the quieter he becomes, the more distant he appears. The more distant he appears, the less safe he feels speaking again. This creates a loop. Not a dramatic one, a quiet one. The kind that erodes connection slowly, without anyone realizing exactly when it started.
Men feel shifts before they can explain them. Less curiosity, less appreciation, less emotional space. They don't always say anything about it. They just notice. They start feeling less necessary, emotionally. Not unwanted, just replaceable. And when a man feels emotionally unnecessary, he rarely protests. He doesn't argue. He doesn't demand reassurance. He withdraws, silently.
Silence doesn't stay emotional forever. Eventually, it becomes numb. Feelings stop asking to be expressed. Disappointment stops trying to be explained. Men still show up. They still do what's expected. But emotionally, something flattens. This is why many relationships don't end with explosions. They end with resignation. Not because love disappeared overnight, but because connection faded quietly over time.
Doesn't draw attention. It doesn't go viral. It doesn't announce itself. Men who suffer silently still go to work, still provide, still appear functional. So their pain goes unnoticed. Not because people don't care.
This isn't about women being cruel. Most aren't. This is about emotional misalignment. Men and women are often taught very different emotional languages. Men are taught endurance. Women are taught expression. When those languages don't meet, silence fills the gap. Not as punishment, not as manipulation, but as adaptation. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means something was carried alone for too long. If this felt familiar, you're not broken. You're responding the way many men were taught to respond. Quietly. Subscribe to Unsaid, because behavior always speaks, even when words don't.